just like walking around Costco and seeing everyone with a mask on and just looking at that scene and saying, man, if we were like, plucked out from last year and put like 1 year ahead to this moment,
exactly.
and just looking around like, what's going on here?
Why is everyone wearing a mask? Yeah.
Right. What's gonna happen if I take it off for 1 second? Like, what is that? Like, it's a wild situation, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. I just can't stand when people wear it like under their nose.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you really are just kind of defeating the purpose. But then is it appropriate for me to say something? It's like.
Right. And so I couldn't agree more. How about we were in Costco, Jess and I, the other day, and I was walking, I went to go pick up the eggs, walking back, and this guy took the mask off, sneezed, and then put the mask back on. I went over I was like, I have to tell you what just happened. And I was the one that proposed that we go to Costco, the week of Christmas, everyone's shopping, and so it was really crowded. Like,
did you egg him? I would have opened the eggs and just started.
I mean, that would have been an appropriate reaction. That would have been more appropriate than what he did, taking his mask off and sneezing. I should have done that for sure. It was wild. I mean, this year.
Yeah, I'm a fan of public shaming, actually. I think it's pretty effective.
Yeah, meaning like in that moment, right then and there, either saying or doing something?
So, statistically, when you articulate people's behavior back to them, they either change that behavior or stop it. So, not that the damage was done once he sneezed, but if you'd been like, did you really just take off your mask to sneeze and infect everybody else and put your mask back on?
Right.
It would have been a learning experience for him.
That is true. Yeah. It may have made him think like, wow, I did really do that. There is something wrong with that. Okay.
Doesn't make sense. Maybe I should not have done that if the whole point of wearing the mask is to prevent droplets from getting out into the air.
But no, I was going to say just super, appreciative and thanks for being, bearing with me while I figured this timing and, everything, scheduling stuff out. I'm excited for the time where I'm able to have someone schedule for me and stuff, eventually get to a point where I could focus on the conversation and focus on the guest and not, the elements. But of course, when you're starting out,
you need an intern.
Yeah, exactly.
You need an intern, and then later on, we'll.
I like that actually, and that's kind of what I'm kind of thinking. Bring someone on board, and they can learn in the process, perhaps as well. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, go straight to Rutgers, right? You're a former alum.
Let's talk more about that. That came immediate. That was your first thought. Is that something that I mean, and we're going to talk about BND and everything like that.
I'm just brilliant. I don't know what to tell you.
I was going to say it. That was pretty spot on of something that I was thinking about having a team eventually, but even before then, there's you hit it on the head. There's information and experiences that I have that can value, of course, an intern, and it's no different than when I interned, even though I got paid as an intern. But it's no different than when interns intern at companies and stuff,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's about the experience as a whole.
Yeah.
And then working with you, they may even have a bit more opportunity to apply their creativity or be a bit more innovative and, get more of that hands-on experience. So that might work.
Let me start off by welcoming you to Cal Experience, and I would love for you to just say hi to my audience and tell them a little bit about yourself. Who is Brittany Hale?
Hi guys. So my name is Brittany Hale. I am an attorney, an entrepreneur, an elected official. I dabble in the modeling world, let's see. And just an advocate of self-actualization and, really bringing humanness into everything that I do.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah. Let me start with this. I thought about the amount of reading that you had to do when you were in law school? Can you, like, I don't like to read, and I don't read. I want to get better at, I want to like it, and I know how important it is, but I don't spend time doing it. And I know that, like, in law school, there's an immense amount of reading that you had to do. So I want you to, like, tell me about that experience. And was it like boring reading, or was it like engaging where you kind of enjoyed yourself?
You know, it's funny. I was just having this conversation with someone yesterday who
Mm-hmm.
also went to the same law school. So I'm an avid reader. I love, love, love reading. I started reading when I was 3 and never stopped.
Nice.
So law school was an adjustment because it killed reading for me for 3 years. So the way that American jurisprudence works is on precedent, right? Essentially, we're deciding this case because we did it before.
Mm-hmm.
And so in order for you to understand how to analyze the law in specific areas, you have to read a bunch of super old cases, and that is not very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the most interesting cases were in like criminal law. So your first year of law school, all of your classes are picked out for you. You don't have a choice. And in some of your classes, for example, constitutional law, you're starting from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're reading cases from 1789 onward, and
Wow.
it's not interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that really dampened reading for me, and it took me a while to come back to it, you know, and to really love it. I used to be really judgy about audiobooks, but I've jumped on the audiobooks train mainly just because I'm on the go so often. So it's really kind of nice to be able to still enjoy reading. And apparently it activates the same areas in your brain. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I love that. Yeah, yeah. Audiobooks. I mean, that this is the second reminder. I had a reminder recently too that I should kind of re-explore that, because I do listen to a ton of podcasts and love listening to
Mhm.
podcasts, love learning and getting information. So that makes a lot of sense. Like you said, when you're on the go, maybe for me, a little less on the go nowadays, but in your commutes and things like that, it just makes a lot of sense. So I think, and I actually just heard earlier driving home today, I heard what Audible, $5 a month. I think they said. This is not sponsored by Audible or anything, but I think they said something about something
Don't
about
mention
$5.
them until they pay us.
Exactly. You know what? This part is getting cut, right? That's it.
So there's this company that offers
Right.
audiobooks,
Right.
and allegedly,
Right. Allegedly,
right.
supposedly, they have an endless stream
Mhm.
of books available. Okay, so that's cool. So you had to, so you read a lot of stuff that wasn't necessarily interesting. When you say in 1700s cases and stuff like that, it's hard for me to like think of any section of any of those papers, that you read that for me would be like interesting. But were there hopefully like tidbits of like some stuff in there where it's like, oh, this is cool, but the vast majority of stuff is just kind of not interesting?
Right. So the answer is prototypical attorney answer. It depends, right?
Mhm.
So everything is relevant, but again, because in America, you're building on precedent, right? So if you think of it like building a house, right? These really old cases are the foundation, and
Yeah.
then every case that comes after that is building onto it. So, and then of course you're gonna have as technology continues, you're gonna have these laws, and the question is, how do we apply this old set of laws to a new set of facts?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, in contract law, you start off with these older cases where, let's say, some guy goes to buy a cow, and he reads in the paper that this guy is offering a cow and that the cow gives plenty of milk, the cow's super healthy. He goes to buy the cow's super skinny, it's sick, it's gross, but he's already paid his money. Like, what happens?
Mm-hmm.
And so that then teaches you, okay, what are the elements that you need in order to form a contract? Then you might have another case where, let's say Macy's is like, hey, the first person through our doors on the day after Thanksgiving gets $100 gift card. And then let's say, another person, two people run through at the same time, right? Or another person trips someone else, who's entitled to that? Is there some sort of contract that is built between that, right? Or when you download an app and you press accept, right? Whether you acknowledge it or not, you are entering into a contract with these companies. There's actually an attorney in Long Island, which is really random. He's filed over 100 lawsuits against companies for alleging that they had vanilla flavored snacks or creamers or baking goods when there's no actual vanilla being used in it. So he's like, this is trickery, right? I'm buying this vanilla flavored coffee creamer. There's no vanilla beans in the coffee creamer. You guys are just using a substitute that tastes like vanilla, but it's not, and you're tricking the people. So
right. That's bad funny. Like if this person was like being spoken to and asked, what type of law do you mostly practice? Well, it's mostly vanilla based. It's mostly
vanilla?
on artificial vanilla. Yeah.
I'm all about the flavor.
Right.
All about the flavor.
Clearly. I love that. Okay. And I love the way you explain that too. So it's basically like until a scenario presents itself that warrants the need for a contract like the first example that you just gave, you're not going to necessarily think proactively and think that you need to have something like that established until you are presented with it. And then from that point forward, hopefully all cases know that, yes, this is like a new foundation, a new playing field that we're kind of building on top of. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Torts is something, it's a word I didn't know until I went to law school, but it deals with offensive and inoffensive acts like assault, battery, things like that, trespassing. And there's a really old case that everyone starts with, and this little boy is on a school bus and he kicks the other little boy, and the other little boy has some sort of like weird infection going on and his leg gets cut off. And so the parents want to sue the parents of the other kid because they're like, you kicked my kid. So then the question is it for one, like, is this battery? Is this assault? And was it foreseeable that his leg was going to fall off, as a result of like being kicked on the bus?
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. You made something like the whole concept there, something that to me, I would think is not as interesting being, from the engineering side of things, but that I like that. I like the way that like it's a system to it, right? And that kind of a logical system. That's kind of how I work, like logic, like to a fault sometimes. Things are kind of structured, specific, and everything like that. So
exactly.
Okay.
And
Very
even to do what you do, right? So, as an engineer, certain services that you use, operating systems, all of that, right? There's this interesting juxtaposition between an idea and the expression of that idea, right? And that involves the law because somebody owns the expression, right? No one owns an idea, but the way that one might express it, that's then going into property rights and intellectual property rights and, the laws involved. So it really does touch every field. It's just some things are more interesting than others.
Gotcha. Just like, I guess that could be, said about a lot of different things. Very interesting. Okay. BND Consulting.
Yes.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about where it started, why it started, and clearly, so like law is the concept of law and helping people, like that is a passion of yours right now, would you say?
Yeah. So I developed BND Consulting after a few experiences. So in law school, I started working at an investment company my first summer and actually worked with asset management and intellectual property, right? So they would come out with this system to help people invest, and see greater returns or something, and figuring out how do you apply to the government for protection of that, right? So a competitor can't come and take it. And then once I left there, I was recruited out of law school to a very big financial services company. And I did some securities litigation analysis, which was boring. And I wanted to engage with people, right? Because my strength was in engaging, my strength was in really connecting with other people. And so I developed marketing strategies for my clients and ended up getting poached by one of my clients. So most attorneys are horrible business people. They learn how to be an attorney and then they become business people like in their 40s and 50s. But I kind of did the reverse. I'm not in my 40s or 50s, but I learned the business of law. And then when it came time to practice it, I said, okay, sure, I'll give it a shot. Right. So I'd never worked at a law firm, but I started trying cases. And that was really exciting. I'm still an undefeated litigator, so that's really cool.
I'm talking about.
You don't get like one of those belts in like wrestling or boxing or anything, but
a trophy or something, a medallion or something. No.
Yeah, I have a gavel.
There you go.
I did bring it, so it's fine. But so the most important part of a jury trial is, of course, picking the jury. And how that happens is they will, have you had jury duty?
I have, but I wasn't able to go.
Okay. Okay. So, you get the notice in the mail, and essentially you as an attorney are tasked with finding 8 people throughout that county and taking 8 people with different jobs, backgrounds, socioeconomic status, all of whom don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And you have to try to get them interested in your case and more than interested, right? Persuaded by your narrative, right? Persuaded by your set of facts. And so as I began selecting juries, I became really great at understanding the gap between what people said and how they operated. And so over time, I was in-house counsel. I was representing this Fortune 500 company, and something would happen, we'd win, and then later on we'd be back, for a similar issue. So I just felt like I was spinning my wheels, and this wasn't an efficient or an effective way of conducting business. And so I realized that businesses very often operate like scaled out juries, right? There's always a gap between their articulated values and their day-to-day operations. And so when I decided to start BND Consulting, BND stands for Be Nobody's Darling. It's taken from one of my favorite poems. But when I started BND Consulting, I really wanted to address that gap, right? Because if we're thinking about logically, it doesn't make sense, right? Logic appeals to you. Why would I articulate a value and then do something else? It's insane. But my hypothesis is essentially that companies and people really operate very often outside of what their core value is. So companies now, you might see they're starting to say, oh, diversity is part of our core values, right? We respect all people, or, they put a black square up on their social media profiles. And a lot of this is sort of performative, perhaps reactionary to current events. But when you see companies, especially in management, they're not very diverse, right? Or they may say, hey, we treat everyone like a family here, but they don't want to offer leave if you are ill, or they don't want to offer medical coverage to certain types of employees, things like that. So addressing that gap is something that I've been very, very curious about. And thus far, it's been a unique experience because, again, having that legal background, I'm able to help companies codify, clarify, and elevate values as an operational framework for decision making. Okay, so what does that mean? We hear company culture, and culture is sort of like this buzzword. Nobody knows what it means. Everybody thinks that like company culture is like unlimited kombucha, or Google, right? Like being
Yeah.
able, like a nap room, like,
Yeah. Massage
but
room. Yeah.
exactly, but that's kind of meaningless. So I approach it as company culture is essentially a framework for decision making, right? We make decisions at this company a particular way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I help them figure out why they make decisions that way, and then how they can connect with what they say they want to be, and we kind of work together, take it from there.
Okay. So all right. So that makes a lot of sense, actually. It's kind of like, I think that in this generation of employees, of people coming out of college and looking for
Mhm.
employment, there's been a so much focus on people understanding what companies stand for, in addition to the things that you just mentioned, right? In addition to the amenities and like, why should I offer my services to this company over this company type of a thing. There's so much more focus there than, our parents and even grandparents generation, where that was not that was not a thing at all. It was like, hey, I want a good paying job, I want a, stable job, provide for my family. All those other things were not even a thought of concern. And I wonder, right now, I wonder if a big part of that, just like a big part of most changes from those generations to now, technology um, gives the ability to be able to share information about companies, and insights about companies so much easier, that I would think back then there was no way to know until you actually worked there, or if you talked to someone that worked there, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So there's a few things that are interesting, and I agree with you completely. So our parents, our grandparents, 40 hours a week for 40 years, you retire, you mind your business, you sail off into the sunset. Right.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. You have millennials, you have Gen Zers who we acknowledge that a significant part of our life is going to involve work, and companies are outdated and outmoded in this sense belief that, oh, it's all about gig culture. They don't want security. They're going to be here less than 2 years. It's not worth the effort, right? It's not worth investing in them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not true. We do want security, right? But we also want other things. We want a work-life balance, right? That's probably the number one thing that's super important to millennials and Gen Zers. And you also want social and corporate responsibility, right? How I'm contributing my efforts, my skills to this company. How are they then contributing to the world?
Right.
And
Right.
companies don't really know what to do with that. But in 2025, we're less than 5 years from now, millennials are going to be 75% of the global workforce.
Mm.
So that's really going to be interesting, because we have the older millennials, are they going to just follow what everyone else has done? Are they really going to become a bit bolder and really take on the work industry, right? And really figure out and compose the new rules of work, because that's what
Mm-hmm.
we're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Ah, that's a very powerful sentiment, and interesting to think about, having both of us been, in our professional environments. Of course, mine has changed to becoming a teacher now, but working in a company like that, in a company like Verizon, and seeing that there's like three different generations of people that are all working together. And it's like this is important to this group, this is important to this group, and there's a middle group, maybe that's a little half and half there in terms of what's important. When you mention social responsibility too, that's a that's a major thing that I'm trying to think. Like, when I was working professionally, um I think things, and that was only a few years ago, before becoming a teacher, but I think things have increased in terms of the importance of that, like recently, like in the past year, I would say year to 2 years maybe. And so when you talk about this sort of connection between what the company says or communicates is important to them culturally, and then what they do, your organization is talking about helping companies sort of align these two things, so that when a potential employee starts working there, and part of their decision to work there is because the company says they stand for X, Y, and Z, but they see that's not how they operate, then they leave because like that's a big reason for the turnover, I would imagine, right?
Completely.
Yeah.
And it typically takes about 18 months to see a return on your investment in a new employee.
Okay.
A lot of people are leaving within that 12 to 18 month range, right? So you're wasting money
Mm-hmm.
essentially, right? By misrepresenting yourself and perhaps missing out on opportunities for change. And so I tell potential clients, current clients, culture can be costly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have disgruntled employees that are fading off into the ether, right? And they're just going away. They're actually building communities online and pushing back and having something to say. You
Yeah.
look at Timnit Gebru, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, from Google. You look at The Wing, you look at The Ellen Show, you look at Wells Fargo, right? There's so many companies where people aren't just slinking away anymore, right? They're speaking out, going to social media and saying, listen, this happened to me. It's not okay.
Mm.
And lo and behold, you have thousands of other people who are coming in and saying the same thing. And so is it worth having such a high turnover versus addressing the issue? So for us, what it looks like at BND. So I've done company cultural assessments where I will come in because I'm a third party, right? I'm impartial.
Mm-hmm.
And it's intimidating to tell your boss, right? You suck,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or,
Yeah.
what's happening here?
Yeah.
But when you have another party who's, your issues are going to be addressed confidentially or within the aggregate of other concerns, then you feel a little bit more free to say, hey, listen, I don't really understand what the growth path is here, right? What are the opportunities for me to advance? Because it kind of just seems like they just need a body, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or people, they're focused on butts and seats, but I sit there and take BuzzFeed quizzes for 2 hours a day. I'm not productive, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would be more productive if I could work remotely.
Yeah.
So you have company culture assessments. You might have, I've worked to coach managers. I've done equity capsule courses, which again, we talk a lot about diversity and inclusion, and I think people are a little bit tired of hearing that,
Mm-hmm.
but people still don't know what it means.
Mm-hmm.
And so, teaching people that there's a difference between equity and equality,
Mm-hmm.
and, the way that you implement diversity on an engineering team is going to be vastly different than you do it on a sales team or, for your marketing people and as how they approach their go-to-market strategy. Like, that's not the same. And so to apply this blanket statement of, we at insert company acknowledge that all lives matter and yada, 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 right? So
Mm-hmm.
people will have, sometimes a yearly, sometimes, twice a year, they'll have someone come in and you'll do this like feel good activity, and everybody's supposed to then know how to make better decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's just irritated because now you've just taken away half my work day. So now I have to work late to make up for the
Right.
time spent doing that. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Sure. Sure.
yeah, so I like to be impactful. I like to be effective. And so, I like to apply that methodology to companies, to organizations alike.
That's super dope. I'm very proud of you for taking this step. And I think, what you said earlier about your and I'm also glad that, we've had conversations in the past, of course, about some of the things that you've been doing, but I'm glad to hear, more in depth of a conversation during this episode here because, this is like more specific and
Yeah.
it's painting a clearer picture. which is
Right.
dope, about what it is that you're doing and how important it is. That's the thing. Like when you have like a service like what you're sharing right now, and you touched on it earlier about your experience working professionally before practicing law, and how those two things together are like a gave you such a great experience and great information and great knowledge about how to use them to help others and still be doing something that you enjoy, and are passionate and are talented at. I think that's incredibly dope and inspiring. And just give yourself a round of applause. Just give yourself a round of applause on that. That's super dope. It's really cool. Yeah. I'm like very happy to see that. It's great to see and hear about.
Yeah, it's something that's interesting to me. And again, you're sort of logic based, and what I tell people in short, what we do at BND Consulting is bring humanness to organizational design, right? There's so much emphasis on data right now, right? Data is really, that's great. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. It does. But in many companies, you don't necessarily need the data to see that you're not diverse, right? You can stand up and look around, right? The question then comes after, what do you do about it? How are you making decisions? You're not even cognizant of the inherent biases that you have when you make decisions.
Yeah.
So, for example, a team who might have a quarterly golf outing. There are so many implicit biases about that, right? Do you play golf, right? Do you have a set of clubs? Are you offering this to everyone? Or are you going around to the guys that you enjoy and saying, hey, do you want to go do this thing, Yeah. And really, are we missing out on opportunities to connect in ways that may be a little bit outside of our comfort zone, but are more inclusive and allow for greater opportunities for connection within teams? And that requires a bit more knowledge about how we operate ourselves, right? So I do a values discovery exercise. And very often people realize, oh my gosh, this is why I do X, right? This is why I do Y. This is why I communicate to my employees in a particular way, because I'm seeing things through my view and I haven't communicated this to them. Right? And so, we're human, we're fallible creatures, but when you have that awareness of self and of others, then you're able to kind of reach across the aisle. And again, that comes from trying cases and watching the jury, watching someone on the stand, watching jurors, at the same time and saying, okay, juror number 4, it's having that high emotional intelligence, right? This person raised their eyebrow. They didn't like that this person said that. Let me dig in a little deeper, see how to respond, things like that.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Being very observant to those types of reactions, and understanding that for the most part, maybe all the time, or vast majority of the time, like there's not just like there's a reason for those types of things, and being able to kind of understand what that is a big major part there.
I just wanted to say, and thinking about, if I'm going to observe, is there an opportunity to improve upon it, and what is that going to be?
Okay.
So this past summer, my city, in response to the George Floyd murder and the onslaught of murders this summer, they began having these forums with our local police department so people could understand what the policies and procedures are. And so after that, I thought about social justice, right? Really, that's what we're asking for. And the pillars of social justice. And I wrote a proposal to our mayor, who was super receptive. And we actually developed the first social justice commission in New Jersey.
Wow. That's
yeah.
dope.
So
Yeah.
So it's again, I guess I'm thinking about people as sort of operating systems, or, just thinking about ways to kind of hack people.
And figuring it out. Yeah, that's really cool. And I would imagine, I know there's like a lot of books out there that talk about, and I haven't read any of them, so I can't speak to them. But I heard that there are some books out there that are like, yeah, that teach you sort of how to. There's one called The Four Agreements. Have you heard of that one?
I have.
Okay. Did you read it yet? Or
I have read The Four Agreements. Yes.
Was it? Did you? I haven't read it, but a recent guest of mine said it was really life changing for her. What did you think of it?
I thought it was. I wouldn't say it was life changing, but I thought it affirmed a lot of things and beliefs that I'd held.
Yeah.
For me personally, one book that changed my life, and it's fine, I'll let her. It's called The Better Than Before by Gretchen Rubin.
Okay.
And it talks about habit forming.
Okay.
And again, because I have sort of this values-led perspective, I'm always fascinated by what people say their core values are, and then the decisions that they make, right? And so then when I was, if I reflect that back to them, oh, okay, your core value is, let's say, family, right? Help me understand how family is embedded in your actions day to day. Somebody might say, oh, I always call my mom on the way home from work, or, I make my wife breakfast before she leaves because that, I want something small that I can do that guarantees she has a good day, and it makes me feel like I'm putting my family first. But anyway, with Better Than Before, she talks about habit forming, and she identifies 4 types of habit formers, or the ways that people form habits and behave. And so I found that persuasive, and it really helped me understand why people may not always stick to certain things, or do certain things.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. That reminds me a little bit of, not a little bit, a decent amount. I'm just remembering that you and I did that exercise over the summer, it must have been, where you talked about your core values, and that maybe that's kind of where this started, to kind of try it out and see what's effective, and then kind of using something similar to that in big corporations as well as with individuals.
Absolutely. So I do have a proprietary methodology that I use called the Core Connection methodology. And so this is something that I apply to employees, managers, C-suites, right? Because the founder can wax poetic about their company all day, but that doesn't, the CFO's vision is very different from the chief diversity officer's vision. And, and everybody's still working together to keep the business afloat, but everybody's making really different decisions. And those decisions aren't always in keeping with the vision for the company, or the values of the company. So that is a methodology that I use. In 2021, I actually do have some material coming out, so that'll be exciting. Maybe you can take a gander.
Yeah.
And we can head out again. But when we did the exercise, was it helpful for you?
I don't remember if I actually applied this stuff. I remember while we were doing it, it was eye-opening, thinking about exactly what we're talking about right now. Thinking about how, there's certain values that I consider to be important and consider to be core values, but then again, exactly what we're saying, am I really acting that way with most of the things I'm doing? And the answer is no, honestly. The answer is no. And then, so to me, what's fascinating, and, you were kind of hitting on it just now, is does it mean that these are not your core values, but you think they should be, so you say it? Or does it mean they are your core values? I mean, to me, it kind of, that first thing is kind of like pretty strong contender as being the reason, I would think, right? If you don't
It
do it.
depends on the person, right?
Okay.
Sometimes I'll say, why are you here? Right? Why are you at this company? Because you can make money doing a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different things, right? Or
Sure,
even if
sure.
you decided to stay in the same industry, there's a reason you're at this company versus this one. And it's not just about money. Sometimes we like to believe, oh, I'm here for the money, right? I'm here for the benefits, or, this is my sole driver. And anyone who's there for the money is not going to last long.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
True.
and so when we go through, sometimes people realize this actually is my core value. I haven't been living it, and this is a source of dissatisfaction with my work product, with my team, with certain other things. And so then we explore strategies to flesh that out.
Yeah.
And other times, you're right. Some people are like, oh, that doesn't mean the most to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just said it because it sounds good,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or
Right.
I'm saying this because this is a thing I've been expected to say, and people kind of let me get away with it, right? And so I like to cut past the bullshit and say, no, right?
Right. That's
Some
not.
people say money's my core value, and I always tell people that's not true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I gave you a suitcase full of $1 million today, you can't, the money itself, it's not worth anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Unless you exchange it for something else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you literally sitting there with a bunch of green paper or blue paper or, coins, whatever
Right.
your currency of choice is. So.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I think it's powerful, even for someone. Well, for next year, it sounds like I was going to ask people who want to experience this exercise next year. You kind of alluded that there's going to be opportunities for people to have some materials on this to be able to perform it themselves. Is that kind of what we're?
Yeah. So the thing that I say is I'm always going to ask you to do the hard thing, and I'm never going to ask you to do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
So I will challenge people to do the hard thing, but also provide support. So that's going to, because our management coaching has been super successful, some people have just kind of wanted to continue that past, what we agreed to in our contract, right? Because term limits are important in a contract.
Sure.
And so being able to provide materials, being able to provide a book to people who are going to explore it on their own, use it on their own, and then provide that ongoing support has been super important. So
That's, yeah. I mean, I love that. I love that. It's like thinking about the success of what it is that you're working on, and the fact that, there's going to be a time where you're not, I mean, clearly that time is probably right now, which is why you're kind of developing this, but the time where you're not able to be there to do this with every single person, but the information is still available, and you're still available on, whatever types of terms that you guys agree with, which I think is, that's the way to do it. I like that.
I enjoy amplifying positive impact. So ideally it's just, you're overwhelmed, right? And it's like there's more people to help than a person to help them. So, providing those materials to help is something I'm really looking forward to.
I love that. All right, a couple questions for Brittany Hale, the person. This is what I'm going to call, this is a brand new segment on KL Experience right here. These are never before asked questions. And these are questions, that I think would be just fun to learn about a person a little bit more.
Okay.
So the first question is, name a movie that you love.
Name a movie that I love?
Uh-huh.
Empire Strikes Back.
Ah, nice. Okay. Can you believe I haven't seen any Star Wars movies in my entire life? Isn't that shameful?
It is. I'm actually surprised that you admitted this, and I hope all of your viewers shame you. Sorry.
That's okay. We talked about public shaming earlier, and now it's like coming
Yes,
full
it's
circle right now.
effective and it works.
Like by next episode, I'll have watched all. So wait, when I do watch it, do I need to watch it? And I've asked this question to a few people. Should I watch them in order that they were released?
Yes. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8.
Oh, see, I didn't even know there was a set there. I didn't know. I didn't realize that. Okay, 7, 8 are like with Childish Gambino. Like that's the same saga, or that's something different.
It's the same universe. It's a different time. He's not part of like the canon story.
Oh, okay.
But they are the ones that have been released within the past 5 to 10 years.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think my dad was telling me about how much he's enjoying The Mandalorian. And I told him I hadn't watched any episodes yet, but I heard so many people say they love the show. And clearly I'm not going to watch that until I watch. So it's like, I got to go back and then probably.
You have Disney Plus?
I have access to it through my dad. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So then you got to do it.
And everything. Yeah. All the Star Wars movies are on there, of course. Right.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, it's doable. I'm going to make it happen. If you have a chance to meet someone right now, someone living for lunch, who are you going to have lunch with?
For lunch?
Mm-hmm. Or brunch.
See, lunch and brunch are different.
They are different.
Okay.
That's true. Okay, that's true. I'm going to say for lunch then.
Okay, I am going to have lunch with Michelle Obama.
Nice. Okay.
One, because I think she'll make the time out. I'll be like, oh, we have so much in common. I wish. I'm not comparing myself to her. She's incredible.
Uh-huh.
But I think we would have a healthy and delicious meal. And have like a few good laughs. And I think lunch is one of those things where if you're having a good time, you can like spend more time,
Where brunch, you got the 2 hours and then you got to go.
Well, brunch you can extend as well, but brunch I feel is a little bit different. So my brunch person, I was going to say brunch with Beyonce, but I think it's just because I like the alliteration. Brunch with Beyonce and Brittany sounds like awesome.
Yeah. That's actually perfect. It is.
But yeah, there's a few people, but we'll leave her there. I'm excited about the other questions.
I love that. My lunch is with Dave Chappelle and my brunch is going to be with Tyler, the Creator.
Oh, that's going to be a festive brunch.
It would be. We would talk about music and chord progressions. This guy, can I tell you how this guy, I was listening to it. So he's up there amongst my favorite musical people right now. Like I've kind of discovered his latest album. And the one that won, it's called Igor, won album of the year, hip hop album of the year, even though it's not a hip hop album because it's very much different genre. But it's so dope to me. I was listening to Apple Radio interview with whoever that guy is, I forgot his name, and Tyler, the Creator, and they're talking, and Tyler's like talking about this this song that he discovered on YouTube from the 80s and from the UK, from this band called Lynx. And he's like, yo, you got to check this out. He's like, have you heard this before? It's like he's like a little kid, like excited to show someone something that he discovered. So he's like, you got to check this out. So he plays it, and it's a song that with a music video of black guys singing, different demographics of people playing instruments. They're on a cruise ship. There's like a whole bunch of people, and this is like the music video. There's a whole bunch of people out like celebrating, and the song is just so creative and cool and just like nice. And they're both vibing to it heavy, and I'm just listening to it. So immediately right after, I'm like, I gotta pause this interview and go check it out. And I do, and like my reaction was like spot on with the way that I can tell he felt about it. I'm like, yo, this is crazy creative and crazy dope. And it was like a nice like moment to see that we have something in common. The fact that we both really appreciate this, right? So I would say definitely I would beat him. But back to some more questions for you. I have another good question. What is the or one of the best Christmas gifts you've ever received?
That is a good question.
Very timely. It's very timely.
It's incredibly timely.
It is.
I was actually thinking about that. I was like, I don't know if he's gonna ask me this, whatever. So one of the best Christmas gifts I got was an experience, actually. So I received a text message with a QR code. And so I scanned the QR code, and then in binary, I had to decode the binary to get these coordinates.
Whoa.
And anyone who knows me, I love games, I love riddles, I love like any of that type of stuff is just like so cool to me.
Yeah.
And so I decoded the binary, got the location, and then I never ice skated before. So I ended up heading to pier, whatever the pier is in New York with the amazing ice skating rink. And went ice skating, and it was incredible. That's one of the best gifts I've gotten in my life.
Yeah.
And another one was probably my play school dollhouse.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just because?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Okay.
And it had a little brown family with it. It was
there
fantastic.
You go. All right. I like that. So one physical gift and then one an experience.
Experiential one, right?
Ice skating was challenging, I'm sure, for your first time.
Yeah, I did not fall. Was very proud of myself.
Good.
Fun fact about me, I am a nervous laugher. So when one of the employees was like, I'm skating, and then she literally skates in front of me and then just completely wipes out, and the first thing that I do is laugh. And I feel like such a terrible human being, but I'm so uncomfortable seeing humans in midair and like seeming in slow motion that it was just like, this is crazy. So
yeah, ice skating is actually a lot of fun. I haven't gone in a few years. Actually, no, I went last year. I did go last year. Prior to that, it's been a few years. But that's cool. That's really nice. I like that. I was gonna ask though. I gotta ask. QR code on the phone. How'd you scan it? If it was on the phone, do you have a second device, or was it like a screen scan type thing, like a screen?
It's a screen scan.
Okay, and you're able to do it. Okay. I'm new to the iPhone game. I don't know if you saw I posted something about it. I'm loving it.
I did see that, and you know, I feel a way because I just switched from the iPhone to Android. So.
Oh wow! Did you? Oh my God! Which one did you get? Which Android?
Yeah. Well, I have the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I enjoy it. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm you know, I've been using Android my whole professional time that I've had a phone. And I use my iPad for so much stuff nowadays, from music production, video editing, and I'm enjoying just how much easier it is for certain things. One thing in particular, which of course you can do with Android too, but for whatever reason I never took the time to do it. And this might be something that you either do or maybe you find some value in. But people like us who are doing things and are busy, and a lot of things come across, you know, our desk, or figurative desk or literal desk, like tasks or things that we need to do. You know, I just would say to myself, like, I'll remember to do it, and then it just will just get lost until it becomes a bigger issue. And so I've been using Siri with the reminders app. But specifically, what I'm liking about it is, like, and again, Android, of course, you probably could do this well before even with iOS, but to have a widget on the screen and to be able to have just one Kevin's thoughts list as opposed to multiple different things, and as opposed to having to go into this to-do list in order to see this stuff, like having it there is like a constant reminder on both my iPad and my iPhone.
Sure.
and I'm driving while I have earbuds in. I can just say, I don't want to say it now because it might mess. I'm using my phone right now
Yeah,
for this.
exactly.
But I can say
Exactly.
those two words and then say, remind me to do whatever, and it just adds it. And I'm like, this is going to be very helpful for me right now because, like today, I'm driving and I passed the Easy Pass, and it says call instead of my heart sinks every time I see this. I just wanted to say, paid, successful, keep going, but it said something like call service center, and I'm like,
Call service center. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, what is it? What is what? Why do I have to call? I don't want to call. Probably going to be on hold for 20 minutes, and I don't have time for this right now. But I was able to like quickly put that into a notes, into a reminder list, and now whenever I look at it, I can, kind of have a little more control over my life with these types of things. So I'm excited about it, as you can tell. Very
Yeah.
cool. All right, next question is, what would you say is the best vacation that you've ever been on?
Ooh, that one. Ah, there's two.
Okay.
So my first trip to Paris was phenomenal. No one ever believes me until I show the pictures. So I went to Paris for the first time last year, and I'm checking into the Air France lounge, and there's a pilot checking in behind me. So I'm like, oh, you might be my pilot. I'm about to get on the plane. I've never flown Air France before. I've never been to Paris before, been to France. I'm so excited. So he's like, oh, okay, what's your name? Okay, great. Once we're boarding, stand aside and we'll take care of you. So I go to board, they upgrade my seat to business class, and then the stewardess or the airline hostess, the person, I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
I'm allowed to sit in the cockpit as we take off. And
What?
so,
That's
yeah, so this was an
crazy.
evening flight. So we take off maybe around 7 or so. So it's kind of cloudy. And I have a bit of an anxiety flying. I was in a puddle jumper years ago, tons of turbulence. It was like a whole ordeal.
Mm.
And so being in the cockpit, it was so cool to be able to see everything. And the point where we got past the clouds and then you just saw the stars, it was magical. It was insane.
What?
So that was incredible.
Yeah.
Then they said, okay, we'll wake you up so you can come back and see the sunrise. And they give me a glass of champagne. I go to my upgraded seat. She comes back, wakes me up, and is like, do you want to see the sunrise? I come back into the cockpit, see the sunrise. They gave me chocolates and a salt and pepper shaker or whatever. And I was like, I love France before I even landed. So
Yeah.
Air France is amazing. I will always, say great things about them.
Yeah.
So that was my great trip. And then I was gifted, I was in Montreal with my beau, and he is brilliant at like finding these flights. And at the time I was thinking about my strategy for BND, and he's like, you definitely need some time to just kind of like figure things out or whatever. Buys me a ticket to Athens. I never traveled internationally by myself.
Mm.
No, I hadn't. So, yeah. So then I went to Athens, and that was awesome. It's awesome.
Mm. Did you see the Pantheon and all that at Athens?
I did. It was my first solo trip alone, and I actually made a ring while I was out there. That was really cool.
A
And
ring like this? Like
like
made a ring?
a ring that you
Oh,
wear. Yeah,
yeah.
I
That's
didn't
cool.
wear it, but yeah, like cutting the design out in the metal and like
Wow.
melting it. It was so labor intensive. Jewelers are completely worth all of the money because
Wow.
2 hours in, I was like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But yeah, it was a really, really great experience.
That's really cool. Yeah, we went to Greece for our anniversary slash honeymoon, 1 year
Okay.
anniversary, delayed honeymoon, and
Mhm.
we couldn't say enough amazing things about Athens and Santorini. It was just an amazing experience. So I
Yes.
can totally relate to that. We didn't make a ring, unfortunately. We didn't get a chance to do that, but we just had a
You
nice
were already wearing rings. It was fine.
exactly. We were good. We didn't exactly. How many rings do you actually need? I mean,
Exactly. Esharisto to Greece. Sorry
yeah,
if I butchered that, but Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. Does it mean hello or greetings or hello? What's that
That
mean?
thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I don't think I learned. Yeah, I didn't learn any language over there. We were just eating, walking, sightseeing. It was, yeah, dope time. Next question, video games. So this question is, what is one video game memory? 'Cause I know you play video games, which I think is
Mhm.
quite incredible that you play video games too. What is one video game memory that you like thinking about or talking about?
Winning Zelda Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64. It's
Mhm.
incredible. Every time that I would play GoldenEye 007 and I would beat my sister, she never knew how, but I was just looking at like her side of the screen and I like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, I know where you are.
right.
Like, then set a grenade on this wall and then as soon as you walk past, like detonate it. Um,
Ruthless, ruthless.
Thanks again. Um, yeah, those are really, really, really fun memories. My dad is a gamer, and that's really kind of the way that we bonded. So at first, we would sit and watch him play, and then we started playing, and it was, it's a good time.
That's dope. Now, did you get stuck in the water temple like I did or not?
Oh, yeah.
All right, because I
It was
quit
very
playing for
stressful.
very stressful. Literally a year. I was like, I think I broke the game. I think I did something I wasn't supposed to do, and now there's no way for me to beat this level. And that's what I thought for like a whole year, and then thankfully revisited it and then figured it out.
Sometimes it's all you need, right? A little time away.
That's right.
I've been playing it on not Ocarina of Time, but I've been playing Breath of the Wild on the Switch.
Yeah.
And getting that stupid rock thing, it's really irritating.
Rock thing. Remind me. I beat it, but I'm trying to
there's
think.
like there's like this huge rock man.
Oh, face the golem looking creature thing.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
and you've got to like throw the detonator blocks like
Yeah.
at that little blue thing on his butt, and I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
this is
lot.
irritating.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, that was a great one. That was a great game too. The
Yeah,
very just open world and just do whatever you want. Like that
I
was
love that.
a lot of fun, a lot of fun. Man, I missed that. They're making a sequel, which is exciting news to
I
me. I don't know when it's coming
saw.
out, but I'm very much looking forward to that. Hopefully next year.
I
Very
have a
cool.
question for you.
Please.
Have you ever played The Sims? And if so, what type of Sims player are you?
So I have played The Sims before. I remember when I was maybe about 12 or 13 years old. I remember working at Circuits. Actually, I wasn't working at Circuits when I was 12, 13. Probably like 14, 15, 16. I was working there, and I remember a lot of customers were coming in and asking for that game. At the time, I didn't play any games on the PC, but I just saw how popular it was, so I thought I would try it out. But I asked for it. I got it for Christmas one year, and I played it, but I didn't play it a lot. And I maybe because it wasn't captivating or fast enough or something like that for me. And I don't remember, unfortunately, I don't remember much about it. But have you played it and do you have any memories to share?
Yeah, I'm like a hardcore like, player, but there's all different types of player. There are people who like solely like to build homes. There are people
Uh-huh.
who just love the drama and like creating all these chaotic situations.
Uh-huh.
I'm the generational player, so like I'll start with two people and like right now I have a family that's like 13 generations in. And
Uh-huh.
so
Wow.
like all of like the cousins, it's like it's a problem. Everybody just the whole town is pretty much populated by this one family. Um yeah,
Man. Wait, that's on you played on PC, I'm guessing?
I do.
Is that where it's at? Okay. All right. When you say about the causing drama and stuff, it made me think about a game called Untitled Goose Game on Switch. Have you heard of it or played it?
No.
Oh, I think you would like. I haven't played it yet, but it won the game of the year actually, I believe last year, which is crazy. It's an independent developer, but you play as a goose and you just wreak havoc amongst citizens. And apparently, it's just like there's nothing else like it. But I think when you talk about like Sims, from what I know about the Sims, like this kind of simulation type of a thing, playing as a character or a goose
Yeah.
It seems pretty interesting. I might actually have to go ahead and dabble in that because I forgot about it until this very moment when you mentioned
Huh.
drama, and I know a lot of people had good things to say about it for sure.
I'll have to check it out.
Definitely, definitely. Got time for one more question. And I just got to say before I ask the question, thanks again for taking some time out, and
Oh,
this will be. I say this to all my guests, and it's the truth actually. Most of my guests, not all. Well, nah.
yeah.
I say I
Very
say it
important
to
distinction.
exactly important distinction. No, everyone who's I would say all my guests who are. I mean, honestly, it is everyone, but people who are entrepreneurs who are working on something and who are maybe just starting out, and then even people who are not working on something specific, but like I'm going to say one of my best friends because he was my best friend until I found out that I wasn't his best friend. He has a different best friend. I was very sad about that. Yes, but it's going to be so dope, and it's going to be so dope being able to look back at this conversation years from now.
Right. I'm
And
very excited about
right? That's so cool to me. Like relationship wise, where I was with the guests that are coming on, as well as where they were and where I was sort of professionally and like what it is that we're working towards. And I mean, that's the thing. I never want to rush into the future, but I think that's one thing to look forward to. One of the many things, I guess, right, to look forward to. But it's going to be so cool to see that. And I'm like,
that.
that's a nice sentiment. And that's why one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is to like capture these, like a snapshot. And I think it's so dope how all of these conversations so far, it started in the year of 2020. Like these
Yeah.
conversations started this year, and it's really dope. So I appreciate all the information. I think people out there who that's the thing. A lot of my audience, music related people, right, as well as
Mhm.
entrepreneurs. But I think
Yeah.
that what I'm loving is that there's almost an intersection pretty much all the time between what I'm interested in, what I do, and my audience, and what my guests are kind of doing, which we can all learn from each other, and it's just super dope. So thank you.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Last question for you. Ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Dream concert.
I've
5
been thinking
artists.
about this. 5.
Excellent. 5 artists, living or dead. And who I need, and also maybe you can help me with this. What is a better way? I don't like saying dead. What is a better way to word this question?
5 artists throughout the span of time. Something like that. Like
Got it.
just okay. So my next question is, can a group be an artist?
Yes.
Okay.
Good question.
So Whitney Houston, like the voice and personality.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, I want Wu-Tang, but I also want ODB. So if like Wu-Tang can be complete,
Uh-huh.
then I want Wu-Tang there. So that's my
Okay.
second.
Okay.
I also want, oh man, this was so good. Now I'm blanking. Well, Ghost is part of Wu-Tang because I went to a Ghostface concert last year, I think. It was really good. Who else do I enjoy? I'm gonna go with Destiny's Child.
Nice.
Beyonce can do a few singles, but we're gonna go with that.
Mm-hmm.
I You're gonna laugh at me, but I don't care.
I won't laugh.
Because I love high notes and high ponytails. Ariana Grande is gonna be.
She's dope. And she does have a high ponytail. It's very high. It's like
I
it goes up.
respect it.
I like
Yeah,
it. No,
the
it's nice.
commitment.
Dope.
It's like firmly like here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We like it. And I want like bad boy artists, like peak 1996.
Mace.
Mace, The Locks,
Uh-huh.
Total.
Uh-huh.
Well, I guess maybe 95. Biggie died in what, 95 or 96?
One
It
of the,
doesn't
I'm not
matter
sure.
because he can be there anyway.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're putting
So if,
all of Bad Boy in one. Look,
exactly.
I'm I'm with it. That's a label, but you
Let's
know
do
what?
it.
Okay, why not, right? Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
because we've got the love ballads. We've got like the self-empowerment songs. We've
Mhm.
got hip hop. We've
Mhm.
got like real raw, amazing hip hop. We've
Yeah,
got pop. You know, if Selena could do like an intermission, I would be down for that.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, you know, I'm into little dabble of Tejano music.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I love that. Which Selena?
Huh?
I said which Selena because there's two.
The Selena. The
Okay,
second Selena was named after the first Selena. So
okay.
the
The second,
Selena.
because you said Ariana Grande, so I said maybe. I don't know. You know? Okay,
No. I can't. I
okay.
can't.
When you
Yeah.
say Selena, then it means Selena, of course,
Yeah.
right? Very cool.
Selena Quintanilla Perez.
There you go. Did you watch the show? My wife watched it. She said it was okay. No?
No, I didn't watch it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. You seen the movie? You kind of got it.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. So that's what we're gonna wrap. This was a dope conversation. Excited.
Thank
I
you.
have, yeah. Thank you. I have just the utmost respect and like I said, just very proud of what it is that you're doing. How it's something that you found what where the intersection is between what you're good at and what you enjoy doing, and being able to articulate clearly, being like our conversations over the years, being able to like explain things in a way that are clear and direct, and like that's a thing that everyone can't do. And so like having that experience, and seeing you kind of build on that to where you're at right now and where you're gonna go beyond into next year and the years to come is just, it's very inspiring actually to see. So I'm looking forward to kind of being to seeing where that journey continues to take you. So keep up the great work, my friend.
Thank you.
You're very
Let's check
welcome.
in soon. And thank you for having me. This has been awesome. I
My
love
pleasure.
seeing the show grow. Very
Thank you.
cool.
Thank you so much. Much love, and you have a great rest of the night, my friend, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks. Bye.